Yes, everyone, it's John, it's Frankie back with us. Everton have just won the final Premier League game of the season, 1-0 away against Newcastle at St James's Park. A result that I think if you watch the match preview, I thought Everton were capable of putting a performance in, but no way in God's given earth did I think we'd go there, perform like we did, and get the 3 points. Obviously, Newcastle have got into Europe now, as you will all know. Due to Aston Villa getting beat by Manchester United. It would have been great to upset their apple cart today and stop Newcastle going into the Champions League. But unfortunately, results went their way. But I'm not interested in them. I'm more interested in the performance that the 11 players and the substitutes put in today. And I must say, I've spoken here quite regular about the last games of the season, how Everton have had heavy defeats, Arsenal, Man City. We've rolled over. We've had our bellies tickled the last game of the season when we've had nothing to play for. Listen, we had nothing to play for today. And that performance today epitomised the David Moyes team playing to the last minute of the last game in the Premier League season. I want to get Frankie's take on it because he watched it with me. I'm ecstatic. How are you feeling after that?
Shocked. We always talk about we have our flip-flops on for the last game season. Didn't see it today. Every player done their job and it was an amazing performance by every player who was on that pitch.
Yeah, Jordan Pickford again. We know how he plays at Newcastle. He will do his best. He will build a brick wall in that goal if he had the bricks and mortar to take with him, because obviously his dislike for Newcastle. But to a man, the performance, I thought Beto held the ball up well today, brought players into the play, into the moves. I thought Alcaraz worked hard. I thought Jack Harrison worked hard. No real end product from him yet again. Dominic Calvert-Lewin comes on last 5 or 10 minutes, has 2 chances and misses 2 chances within 2 seconds. I just want to ask, when we seen the team, what David Moyes put out today, what was your initial thoughts of what we get from that game?
I didn't think we'll win, but due to injuries, especially at the back, I was worried. But due to injuries, we had to start with Michael Keane and Jake O'Brien and Ashley Young. But due to injuries, we had to.
And you mentioned 2 players there, Michael Keane and Ashley Young. Listen, it looks like it's definitely going to be Ashley Young's final game of this, of his Everton career. We know that. Obviously, we haven't heard nothing on Michael Keane yet, but I'm assuming it's his last game. And I thought them 2 today epitomised what professionals they are. We've slagged Michael Keane off on this channel many times, but I thought today, obviously, he had to come in with Tarkowski being out and obviously Jared Brantwaite being out. I thought he put a professional performance in. I thought he wore his heart on his sleeve. He come off the pitch with blood, sweat and tears on that shirt, which I've always asked for. And you know what you get from Ashley Young. He knows it's his last game. He's already said his goodbyes to Everton fans on social media. But again, he epitomised what a professional he is. What was your take on their 2 performances?
I thought they played amazing. Michael Keane put in a professional performance, as you said. And I think Ashley Young always tries his best, and it showed that today.
Well, Ashley Young said that in his parting video. It doesn't matter what club he plays for, whether it be Everton, whether it be Manchester United, he played there. Until that final whistle, he will always give us all. What a professional he is. I can't even remember how old Ashley Young is now.
40, I think.
39, pushing 40. I watch Ashley Young's performance for Everton this season, and I honestly think he can still do a job in the Premier League for certain teams. And listen, he makes no bones about it. He's a top professional. He's not blessed with skill. He's not blessed with pace. But it's his heart and it's his endeavour what makes him the player he is till he's nearly 40. I want to speak about a few more players. Gisagana guy, again, possibly could be his last game for us. I thought he epitomised what he's done this season for this football club. And basically, since he come back from Real Madrid, again, week in, week out. PSG. Blood, sweat and tears on that shirt again. And today, epitomised what a professional he is. And I keep using the word epitomised what professional because I'm talking about the older players who are possibly coming to the end of their careers, or are probably going to get a big money move to Saudi, as Gisagana guys being linked with that. But these players can still do a job in the Premier League. And, I was speaking to Michael. Michael landed while the match was on. And Michael's cock a hoop. You know, he thinks we can push for Europe next season.
I do.
So many times this season, I've said on here, if David Moyes would have come in 6 or 7 games earlier than what he did into this club, I honestly think we could have pushed, even if it might be that Conference League, the 8th place in the Premier League, because what David Moyes has come in, we were 1 point above the relegation zone when he come in. And I think he's picked up, is it 28 points? Is it? Am I right?
Something like that.
28 points since he's come in. I might be completely wrong by saying that, but I'm sure it's something like that. He gets the best out of these players. He gets the best out of players who have seen better days in their careers. You know, they're getting on in age, but he's also getting better out of players who we didn't think he would. You know, look what he's done with Beto since he come in.
Yeah.
We're going to hit on Beto in a minute because I thought he was fantastic today. His hold-up play, as I said, bringing players into it. He had a couple of chances. But I want to speak about another 2 players, as in Jack Harrison and Mikalenko. I thought Mikalenko was solid. He done well. He put the ball in for the goal today, which was an absolute great centre from him. Charlie Alcaraz wins the header. The keeper doesn't move. He couldn't have caught that any better with his head. He put it in the right position. The keeper was stranded, and Everton win the game 1-0. And the more the game went on, Newcastle did grow into it, but I was quite confident. And the reason for that was because of the way our defence played today. You know, there has been changes. Tarkowski's gone out, as we say. Jarrett Brantwaite's out the team. But it doesn't matter who comes in under David Moyes. It's as if each person knows his job and they fit straight into the jigsaw. What's your feeling of what David Moyes has done with certain players since he's come in?
He's done amazing. Every player gets an extra more than 10% than he did when Dyche was in. And he works from the back. The defence does well, which helps midfield, which goes on to the attack. And it showed this season when he's came in. No, we have got the goals. Defence has played well, and the midfield held the ball up well.
Well, this is a squad of players that Sean Dyche said when he was leaving that he felt like he couldn't get any more out of this team. Now, this team, as I said before, was 1 point above the relegation zone. David Moyes come in. We've won away at Forest. We burst their bubble. They haven't got Champions League. We've gone away to Newcastle. We give Arsenal a game. We drew with them. The next game, they went and drew with Real Madrid.
Beat Real Madrid.
No, did you drew with Real Madrid the first time?
They beat Real Madrid 3-0 the first time.
Oh, sorry. So Everton drew with Arsenal, but then they go and beat Real Madrid. So that was a great performance. That epitomised Everton Football Club again under David Moyes. And then, you know, you look at other performances that we've had. We were in the game against Liverpool. You know, we got a draw. Tarkowski last minute at Goodison. So for the other fella who you know left us, sacked, whatever you want to say. I don't even want to talk about him. But for him to say he couldn't get any more out of this squad of players just shows how much of an inept manager he was when you've got David Moyes come in. And as Frankie's just said there, he's actually got more than 10% out of this squad of players. Right, we are going to wrap up because we have got to go to a little gathering in our street for, you know, someone's birthday who's no longer with us, but I'll go into too much detail. So we are going to finish there. Frankie, man of the match?
Beto.
Yeah.
Could have been anyone, to be fair.
Just before we go, I just want to mention another player. And I love him. I absolutely love him. If I found him
of the season in the Premier League.
If I found him in bed with Lisa, I'd tuck him in because, you know, we've spoke on here about how many times that since he's come back from injury, he wasn't the same sort of player. I think today was probably his best performance since he's come back from that injury. Yeah. And he's so strong for a little fella. You know, it's like...
He's not scared going to a tackle or anything.
But as the commentator said today, Newcastle had to revert to injuring him or putting tackles in on him and taking him out the game because they didn't know how to cope with him.
Yeah.
And he wriggles away, had 2 or 3 men round him. He's still bringing the ball out. I think that's what pissed Newcastle players off. Then that's when they started going in hard on him. Inevitably, he went off. Well, yeah.
Anthony Gordon.
Well, I mean, that was the Ashley Young. You know, I didn't even touch Claire Bolden and she went flying. But yeah, I thought all round today, the season's over. There was nothing hinging on it for us. There was more hinging on it for them. As I said, unfortunately, we didn't stop them. We did. Well, we done our best. It's just that other results helped them into the Champions League. So Frankie's give his man of the match to Beto. I can't pick between Ndi and Beto.
I think everyone played well.
Yeah, and I think it was one of them performances where we're struggling to give a man of the match. It could have been anyone. I thought it could have been Pickford for the shithousery. And I want to mention Pickford. We haven't really mentioned Jordan. He pulled off some good saves today.
Amazing saves.
There was one where he saved it with his foot. I think it was that he pushed it out and then it come back out. And, he saved it on the near post with his foot. Jordan Pickford's always up for it against St. James at St. James's Park. Listen, we are going to leave it there. Just before we go, me and Michael and Frankie do want to thank each and every one of you for your support this season, whether it be the match previews, the match reactions, the debriefs, the odd watch along, the news shows that we do. We are trying to do more. We are trying to make the Blue Boys Network bigger and better next season. So as we say, thank you very much for your support. This isn't us saying goodbye and we'll see you, for the season. The transfer window kicks in soon. So we probably will try and get a video out every night. If not, it will be 5 times a week at least. So thanks very much for your support. Thanks very much for watching the Blue Boys Network this season. As I say, the 3 of us do appreciate it. Don't forget, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we will try and get a debrief show out tomorrow at some point. Michael is now in Spain, so I'm sure he can find a 15-20 minutes tomorrow and we can talk about the game more in depth. Michael didn't really see much of it. I'm hoping he can watch it back some way. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Frankie, say bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you soon.